Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nick Flow Show. I'm your host, Nick Flow, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my massive AP game build. Now, with this build, you're going to be able to give yourself your daily as well as your teammates your daily non-stop. Daily equals more damage equals more fun, and it starts right now. Alright, and welcome back everyone. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video. As you can see, currently on this build we have amassed 15,468 total item level. Now a lot of these gear pieces you're gonna see are gonna change for mod 12, as mod 12 is gonna come out with some pretty sick gear. I'm really looking forward to that. That is another reason why you won't see any reinforcements, because I will be swapping gear into the newest gear available for mod 12. But for right now, here's all of my gear. Here are my artifacts and what the artifacts give me. Obviously your base stats are huge. They are your build, and then things like your feats, your boons, and your companion are things that kind of just complement what you already have on your character. Now, as you'll also see, I don't have everything completely maxed out yet, so we're quite a ways away, over 1,000 item level. But here it is. Here's what I'm running currently. Now, this is the AP mass gain. I made this specifically because I pretty much only run MSPC now with the guild, and with the guild, you know, we started experimenting. And this AP gain has to be best in slot, just because how much AP gain your friends actually receive while you're in a party, and it's absolutely huge, you know, because if you have control wizards, scourge warlocks, just any class that's getting non-stop AP gain, it gets pretty crazy. And with the tactician path in here for guardian fighter, that's exactly what we do. Every time we take damage, your teammates within 50 meters of you get AP gain, so it's absolutely insane. Everybody's popping dailies non-stop. So there's all of my stats, and there was my gear. Now, as far as stats go, I rolled with as much constitution and as much strength as possible. Obviously, strength gives you that stamina regeneration. Stamina regeneration is extremely important, especially if you're like under 11 or 12,000 item level. You're gonna need that stamina. You're gonna need want to put that shield up, and then also obviously constitution is gonna be for your maximum hit points, 80% hit points. That's absolutely huge. And then action point gain. There's nothing more important in this AP buff build than the action points we acquire for ourselves. Now we were going to go into powers. We'll save powers for last, as powers are very situational. But since we're on the subject of stats, let's go ahead and get into our boons. Now, your boons are really just another extension of the stats that you're missing, you know, on your base stats. So your artifacts and your enchantments, everything you have gathered, now you want to look at your boons and put what's missing. Now, for me, you're not going to have the exact same boons I am unless you're endgame. You're definitely going to want to tailor your boons to the stats you're missing. So if you're missing defense, go for defense. If you're missing deflect, if you're missing recovery, that's what you're going to want to focus on. Don't focus on what you think you'd like to have. Actually look at your stats, go through the boons, and pick the ones that help out in the department where you're lacking. So let's go ahead and go right through these real quick. As you see, this tank build is all tank path. All tank path, and then we're actually going to go with as much AP gain. Anytime we get a chance for AP gain, that's what we're going to go with. Icewind Dale here, combat advantage. There's the stamina, recovery, 2,000 power, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and go right through these guys. almost every decision I made is tank based. Now you're gonna have offensive boons and defensive boons. So like I said, just go with what you got, but look at there, Elven Haste. As much action point gain as possible in this build. This build, every time you take damage, you will be sharing AP gain. Now here's a huge one. This is where I'm getting most of my armor pen, you guys. I also get 500 item level for being in a Guild Hall 20 guild, professional online gamers. But just to show you what I'm running, this is where I'm getting some of my defense, mount speed, and obviously that. So if you see, the item level is 500 on each for a grand total of 2,000 item level. Let's go right into mounts because mounts is very important. Now here we are on the mount screen. Like I said, it's super important. You'll see that I'm using my Rain of Spines for my legendary mount. And then the equip power is super important because this is also where you want to look at your stats, see what you're missing, and then change your stats depending on what you're missing. So if you need recovery, you need lifesteal, you know, whatever it is that you're needing, get the mount power that best suits you and your needs after you've already checked out your main base stats. And then you right here is very important, the Insignia bonuses. These 5 are some of the best mount Insignia bonuses to have in the game, period. Now, just like with everything else, this is going to cater to how you play and what mount Insignia bonuses you're going to need. For me, since I don't need all, you know, so much defense and so much of all these other things, we're running Assassin's Covenant. We got Cavalry's Warning, which is a 10% buff to everything. Gladiator's Guile, which makes you run hella fast, guys. Everybody should have Gladiator's Guile as it makes the quality of life just in Neverwinter better. You're moving around, your movement is higher, you're more mobile, makes the game more fun. Protector's Camaraderie, many of you have it. And then one of my very personal favorites is Magistrate's Patience. Every time you crit strike, you're gonna apply a damage over time on your enemies or a heal over time on your allies. That's right, so even as a tank or as any class, you're able to do more damage over time and heal your group, help them a little bit, keep them alive. So that's obviously important. But what I want to touch on is right here. Make sure you look at these Insignia bonus so you can see all of your choices. Obviously, like I said, if you're not endgame, you're going to want to tailor your Insignia bonuses to things such as recovering hit points when you're attacked. So things like, let's check it out. Look at Champion's Return. When you are reduced to 50% hit points, you instantly recover 20% of your stamina and healed for 20% of your hit points for 10 seconds. That's absolutely amazing. So let's say if I was struggling in a dungeon or with any content and I needed more regen, I need more sustainability, I just changed my Insignia bonuses. But that shows you how powerful Insignia bonuses can actually be. And obviously with insignias come the actual insignias themselves. Look at your base stats, check out what you need, and then just put these in. Now with the item level only being off by 10 from blue to purple, I'd suggest just getting all blues for now unless you can afford purples. But with mod 12, the price of insignias will drastically decrease because green insignias will pretty much no longer exist as there will be no more green rewards. So definitely look forward to that and get those blue insignias because they're huge. From armor penetration to deflect to defense, all of these go right on your character. Each of these insignias go right on your character. Alright, and moving right along to the companions, as with everything in Neverwinter, is going to be completely up to you on what you need. So if you're missing lifesteal, if you're missing deflect, if you're missing damage, so with us, we're Guardian Fighters and we're tanks, so you're going to want things like damage and damage mitigation. I'm going with the Con Artist as my first legendary. I mean, it's mostly because of the power right here. Consumed by battle. His Wicked Strike shreds 10% of the target's defense, which allows 10% more damage for the entire group, which is obviously huge. I'm running, as you can see in the stats there, a mixed bag. I have some lifesteal, deflect, defense, recovery, power. I got a little bit of everything because I'm missing a little bit of some of those things. So that's how I've split up my character. And you're going to want to do it, you know, depending on what you need. So definitely take that into consideration when picking yours. As you can see, I have the Air Archon, I have the Dancing Shield, the Rust Monster for the damage mitigation, and obviously the Fire Archon for even more damage after the target gets to 50% or less. Alrighty, and now for the feats. Now this is probably one of the most important things for the build, is how you choose your feats. Now for me, obviously everything is for action point, because the more action points we get is gonna proc our steel defense, which makes us invincible, and we'll get to that once we get into our powers. But there's action surge. Obviously we want that as much as we can. 10% more action point gain when guarding. Obviously strength focus for that 15% more damage, increased maximum hit points 9%, armor specialization. Now what I would have you guys do is if you're lower level, you're gonna want to switch from powerful attack to distracting shield. Distracting shield obviously grants less damage from your attackers, so it's all about what you need. So I would split between Potent Challenge and Distracting Shield if you're having trouble with keeping threat. But you know, Powerful Attack is only if you're endgame. If you're not endgame, definitely go with Distracting Shield or with Ubiquitous Shield, because it's all about damage mitigation. And then the big boys, let's go ahead and get in here. As you see, Crushing Pin. Now, Crushing Pin is something I want to talk about in depth. A control power can be anything from a stun, a slow, root. Anything that controls the target is a control power, and it'll activate your Crushing Pin, which is for the entire group. At 5 points, you get 10% bonus damage for 3 seconds. That's absolutely insane. You're giving 10% to your whole crew. We got Fight On. Your cooldowns are reduced by 10%. The more abilities you're able to use, the more damage, the more threat you're going to produce. Daunting Challenge. Obviously, this helps keep your allies alive because they're taking 10% less damage. We're going to be going Rousing Speech. Allies within 30 feet of you gain action points 5% faster. United. They're taking less damage. So all of this is keeping your teammates alive and giving them action points. Because if you give a DC, a Control Wizard, if you give any class action points where they're able to spam their daily, you're going to be clearing content super quick. And that's why I feel this build is best in slot. Here's Inspiring Leader. You're going to add another 5% damage to your group for Into the Fray. And then the last one, the Martial Mastery. Anytime you as a tank take damage, you're going to build action points not only for yourself, but for all your allies within 50 feet. You gain a bonus to this based on your damage resistance, and this is the bread and butter. The amount of action point you're able to gain for yourself, the amount of action points you're able to gain for your group is absolutely stunning, and I've been checking it out, you know, while I'm in MSPC runs with my groups and letting them know, you know, we've been doing a lot of science and checking out the math, and this is absolutely their favorite way to run. Then we have Plate Agility, and we're going to be deflecting 5% more, and then obviously our shield defense to give us that more sustainability. Armor class is absolutely huge, but there it is. So let's go ahead and move on to our powers. Alright, now I left powers last because powers are always situational. Now, what I do want to do is explain a couple of the powers that I use. Obviously, Knee Breaker, it slows the target, guys. So anytime, like I said, anytime you slow the target, you're gonna proc Crushing Pin. You wanna proc Crushing Pin as much as you can for that 10% damage for everybody. So let's go ahead and go down here to Commander Strike. Commander Strike is one of the hugest buffs a GF tank can give. You're going to strike your foe, and for the next 5 seconds, the next encounter attack each ally makes against a marked foe increases by 10, 20, 30, 40%, guys. So 40% damage on their next encounter. So all you hard-hitting great weapon fighters, all you hard-hitting TRs, you want to keep an eye out for Commander Strike because it's going to grant you 40% more. And then here is the big one. This is what made me choose Swordmaster over Iron Vanguard. Now, Swordmaster gives you Steel Defense. After activating a daily power, you become immune for 3.5 seconds. After the buffs, 3.5 seconds of immunity, which means you are invincible. For those 3.5 seconds, you are not taking damage, and that's absolutely a huge buffer because 3.5 seconds is quite it's quite a long time. And then when you couple that with your AP gain while you're blocking and hitting them with aggravated strike, you're gaining massive AP, which means what? You'll be able to use Steel Defense again. So many times I'm running MSPC and I can use Steel Defense, and it absolutely helps me so much because I'm invincible for that long. And then the moment it leaves, the moment Steel Defense wears off, you'll have it again. Another 3.5 seconds of invulnerability. Like, it's absolutely amazing. So that's the whole part of the build. You get a bunch of AP gain for yourself, which gives you Steel Defense, which triggers and makes you invincible on daily use. And then obviously you're massively buffing your teammates. Into the Fray, this is all for group content, guys. Into the Fray is what you're going to want to be using all the time. You're going to increase your teammates' run speed, action point gain, and damage by 15% damage. You're going to share with them 3% temporary hit points. So obviously Into the Fray is absolutely amazing. And then Enforced Threat. You're going to want Enforced Threat, Into the Fray, and then Commander Strike. Enforced Threat is your huge AoE threat generator. You generate so much threat with this. You apply a mark, and then you obviously recover 15% of stamina over 8 seconds. So this is huge, it's a total of 30%, 30% stamina. It's a huge hitter. It hits for a lot of damage. You're marking your targets, which is taunting them, and then obviously you're gaining that much threat. So Enforced Threat, Into the Fray, and Commander Strike should be your bread and butter. Now, you want to swap Commander Strike for Iron Warrior if you're having trouble staying alive. If you're lower item level, Iron Warrior gives you a bunch of temporary hit points, increases your stamina regeneration by 50%, and increases all your threat by 50, 150, by 180, by 450% total. The 200% on top of the 150, so 350% extra threat. It's absolutely amazing, and that's if you need it, guys. Now for our personals, I already showed you Steel Defense, but Guarded Assault is the second one, and it's very important because you're going to be reflecting 20% of incoming damage while you're blocking. Now if you couple that with this guy right here, artifact powers are extremely important. Mine is Guarded Assault to match my personal. Guarded Assault now lowers the run speed, and obviously once again that's very important because what does it do? It procs your Crushing Pin. So now that you have Guarded Assault, it's proccing your Crushing Pin, giving everybody 10% more damage on top of the damage that you're reflecting. So this is always active, guys. Every time you're blocking, you're reflecting damage, you're proccing your Crushing Pin, and you're proccing your Guarded Assault artifact power. Now for up here, I have my I have Master Weapon Strike because I like the damage it gives me. But you know, like once again, if you're low level, you're gonna want to go with Crushing Surge. Crushing Surge will give you 40% more healing from your third combo swing. So let's go ahead and look at that. Crushing Surge right there. Crushing Surge is your at will that you'll want to use when you need, you know, healing. And then obviously if you're a little bit higher, or you have a good healer, or you have good damage mitigation, you want to use Weapon Master Strike because it applies a debuff and it's massive damage. So there it is, guys. Into the Fray, Weapon Master Strike, Crushing Surge, Enforced Threat, and Commander Strike. That's what I use. And then Guarded Assault and Steel Defense, obviously for the invulnerability and the reflect and the crushing pin. And then I use Fighter's Recovery. And then I like Villain's Menace because they can't control you. So you can't get stunned, you can't get knocked down. There's a lot of dungeons that do that, FBI, and a lot of times you're susceptible to max damage when you're controlled. So I like Villain's Menace, but you can also go Terrifying Impact because Terrifying Impact is another way to proc your crushing pin because it stuns. So anytime you can stun, anytime you use control powers, you know, that's the hugest thing of this build. So I hope I went through everything in detail for you guys. This is my second build. This is the max AP gain build. I feel it's absolutely best in slot for groups because when you have a tank that's tanking and buffing and now absolutely buffing your action point gain. Action point gain gives you your dailies to your group, and that's absolutely amazing. So I appreciate you guys being here. I hope you guys learned something from here. This is what I run, and you know, hope you guys enjoy. So we'll catch you guys on the next Nick Flow Show. Peace out.